Hello chess friends and welcome to your Out of Chess channel and welcome to a really funny chess game that I wanted to show you today. In this game, a strong engine Stormphrax will try out here the Scholar's Mate against the strongest chess engine in the world against Stockfish 16. The Scholar's Mate is this setup when white is trying to deliver checkmate in 4 moves. It's one of the first checkmates that I've learned when I was a kid, and we have to mention again for those who are troubled maybe by this opening, I would say this is not a good choice here for white. White should not play this opening. It's a bad opening, especially because of the queen. The queen gets exposed by black's attack. So let's see now how Stockfish is handling the Scholar's Mate with the black pieces. So let's start from the beginning with the move with the white pieces. Here Stormphrax tried e4, we have e5 by the fish, and now immediately queen to h4. This is now the so-called wayward queen attack, also called the Putzer's opening sometimes. It's really a bad choice, although you're attacking and it seems so that white is dangerous with this tempo with the queen. Actually, as I mentioned, the queen gets exposed. You have always great attacking chances because in one moment white will simply start to retreat with his pieces, especially of course with the queen. Knight to c6 will protect the pawn, and here after bishop to c4 by Stormphrax, Stockfish continues with the best plan. g6 of course is not allowing this pawn to be taken. It's also covering here the f7 weakness. Here Stormphrax drops back with the queen on f3. We have knight to f6, and now they're still maybe some chances for white to try this idea to get some pressure here. To get some pressure here around the square f7. White is trying maybe to try to push the pawn on g5, and then if you move the knight somewhere, still to deliver checkmate. But don't worry, I wanted to show now also a dirty trap here for black. If this happens to you, then you have this one, d5. Don't worry so much because, as I said, the queen gets exposed. We attack simply the queen drops back. You can now pick up this pawn, and even if f3 happens, you have a stunning knight to e4. Then if white takes, then you have this one, queen to h4, and white is getting checkmate in move 10. So as I said, even if in this line white continues with g4, don't worry, you have a great counterattack with d5. But in the game, knight to e2 was played here by Stormphrax. Stockfish continues with d6, h3, not allowing bishop to g4, bishop to g7, and now d3, bishop to e6, competing finally against this very powerful light square bishop. We have now bishop to b3. If bishop to e6 happens now, then after f takes e6 and c3, maybe you cannot play the move here, knight to b4, but then you continue with queen to d7, and I think the best strategic idea here for black would be to castle queenside, then to play something like rook to f8, and you have great attacking chances on the f file. Also, what you could do is maybe something like knight to h5, h6 g5, and then cement the position around the square f4. You have also great option after queenside castling, maybe here to push the pawn on d5. So it would be again a pleasant game, I think, here for black for sure. So after bishop to e6, that's why bishop to b3. Stockfish is continuing with h6, not allowing bishop to g5 to happen. And now finally bishop takes e6 by Stormphrax. Stormphrax is saying, okay, in this previous line, you had your pawn still on h7, and the g6 wasn't so weak. Now, Stormphrax tried to trade off the queens, trade off the bishops, but keep black here with a weak pawn on e6, but also a weak pawn on g6. But Stockfish doesn't care. Here, from knight to g3, Stockfish again continues with the same plan: queen to d7, queen to e2, and now queenside castling. We have now knight to d2, again with the same plan, g5, and then you're trying, if possible, of course it's not possible immediately, but you're trying knight to h5 and then knight to f4, really cementing the position around the square. Knight to f3, we have queen to e8, bishop to e3. Now Stockfish pushes the pawn further, which is a good choice. If, for instance, e takes d5 happens, then actually in this sequence white would simply improve the position of the pawns here in the center of the board. The pawn structure is healthy again, it's mobile, it's great here. Again, a much better position here for black. That's why queenside castling here by Stormphrax, but now Stockfish continues with d4, occupies the center, bishop to d2, and now a5. You know that Stockfish is not waiting for a moment. When Stockfish has the chance to attack, Stockfish will attack the position for sure. The downside here, I think the main issue for white is that White rerouted many pieces towards this side of the board, but actually on this side of the board nothing is happening. So on the king side nothing is happening, and you don't have so many defenders in front of the king. So that's why here a5 a4 makes really sense here by Stockfish 16, a3 by Stormphrax, and now Stockfish reroutes the bishop on a better square, is targeting of course now the a3 weakness. King to b1, knight to d7. You see Stockfish is rerouting now again all of the pieces towards here the queen side, and is trying now to attack the exposed king. h4, Stockfish pushed the pawn further, g4, knight to h2, and now a beautiful move here by Stockfish, b5. Stockfish is again not relying on material here. Stockfish doesn't want to count pawns. Stockfish is saying, I have here my attacking foe, you can grab your pawn here on g4, but who cares? Again, just another piece is deflected from the defense of your own king. So great really attacking ideas here by Stockfish, not really caring so much about the simple pawn. Stockfish continues with the h5, gets an extra tempo, and now knight to b6. Look at this. This bishop is already here. These knights are finally included into the attack. Queen also very active here. Potentially active, not maybe immediately, but if something clears, the queen could come maybe on a4. So really amazing attacking flow here by Stockfish. Knight to e2, king to b7. Tiny little improvement of the king, but also liberating now the 8th rank maybe for the rook that could attack the a file. We have queen to h3. Stockfish continues obviously with b4, a takes b4, and now knight to b4. A provocative trade now by Stockfish, because actually you cannot take here this knight. This wouldn't be good because after a takes b4, as we mentioned, then rook to a8, queen to a4, and I'm not seeing so many good defensive chances here for white. Obviously, it will be game over after a couple more moves. So that's why after knight to b4, you have to tolerate such an unpleasant knight on your side of the board here from white's perspective. Knight to c1. By Stormphrax, trying to somehow get a new defender into the game. We have now rook to b8, getting the rook where white's king is, again with not maybe direct threats, but with really clear tactical problems now for white. On the b file, we have knight to f3, knight to a4, putting more pressure, and now after move knight to b3. Now comes what is in my opinion the best moment of the game. Here Stockfish, although this rook is not attacking the knight immediately. As I said, it's not a direct threat. Stockfish plays now the amazing knight takes d3. This is really wild stuff. So if you take here c takes d3, then king to a8 liberates now the b file. Then you have to play something like this, and then rook takes b3 is even a possibility, because as I said, the queen has a great potential in this attack, can always come with the tempo into the game, and now you're trying to cover it, just prolong the game, and after something like queen takes b2, the game should be over. So that's why after knight to d3, knight from f to d4, here played by Stormphrax, trying to get some material back. Maybe Stormphrax is saying, okay, you can grab something, but then I'll grab also your knight. But Stockfish continues now with knight from a to b2. Again, another great move, great tactics here. Look at this, the position is finally exploding. Great knight here by Stockfish. What happens if you play here c takes d3? This is not working because of knight takes d1, and even if you try rook takes d1, then eventually we'll pick up here the knight on d4. Black is continuing the game with up the exchange, has great chances here on the b file. As we mentioned, the queen is very active here with a great potential. Again, game over here for white. For rook from a to b2, we have knight takes e6, knight takes f2, fork against 3 pieces here by the knight. We have knight takes c3, we have queen takes e6, and now queen takes b2. But now Stockfish doesn't even immediately take the rooks, plays now the beautiful queen to d6. Pins now simply this bishop here. This bishop is now immobile. Usually there are some maybe problems here around the square a5 for black, but even if you try something like knight to a5, then king to c8, look at this, you're getting destroyed again on the b file. You have to play knight to b3, then this one is coming, you're trying to defend it, then we finally pick it up, and you see the issue is even if you take out maybe here now this knight, then we have even this one, queen takes d2, queen takes d2, bishop takes d2, but now you cannot pick up here the piece because of the tensions on the b file. So that's why I really like this move also. Queen to d6 Many of us would just go for the rook and okay, would say, perfect, I have a great position, I gained the exchange, but Stockfish finds always the best tactical solutions, plays now the amazing queen to d6, now queen to d1, queen to a1 here, we have now knight takes d1, rook takes d1, and now bishop to h6, putting more pressure simply on the d file. Great stuff by the fish. Queen takes a5, good move by Stormphrax, but now Stockfish includes simply another piece into the attack. We have now king to c1, getting out of this b file mess, but now a little calm move, king to c8. It's not rushing here, Stockfish, nothing can be done, not even a good check can happen here. Obviously, game over here for white. Here Stormphrax is trying to battle with g3, rook to d7, queen to a2, and now c5, simply putting more pressure, trying of course to deflect this knight from b3 from the defense of the bishop on d2. Queen to a5, we have now c4, knight to c5, and now Stockfish goes into this line, simplifies the game, trades off more pieces in this particular game. Here for rook to b1, king to b1, rook takes d2. Stockfish is up the exchange and has now completely winning endgame here. But okay, the knight to e6, Stormphrax is battling, trying of course to do something. After knight to f5 in this particular position, actually Stormphrax resigns. So obviously the rook is better here. We'll simply grab all the pawns, create one passer, and the game should be over in maybe 10-15 moves. Oh, great game, I think, by the fish. Really great ideas how to meet this scholars made idea, this wayward queen attack. You see, although it's a bad opening, still I think you have to find really great tactical solutions in order to win some games. I remember Magnus Carlsen playing a scholars made in an important tournament. So as I said, still you have to know your stuff, but I think here we have seen great strategic ideas, great tactics by Stockfish 16 against this really dubious opening. And okay, if you want to see some other beautiful AI chess games like this with the beautiful sharp tactics, check out our Come to Chess Games Play by Computer series. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.